So I'm in the bathroom. I've had my cold plunge. I've had my hot shower. I'm getting ready for my day. I'm playing my music and this song comes on. And it's a song I've known for almost a decade. And at the end, it speaks of, and something like, and it's been I've been looking for all my days. I think it's Alexi Murdoch. The song's called All My Days. Anyways, I've been waiting all my days for Scott. I've been waiting like 53 years. I'm 53 years old. And I have this moment where I'm just like, I'm not gonna share with him. Like, I'm just gonna keep putting my makeup on. And so he's in his office and I get my coffee warmed up and I'm about to go into my office and the end of the song is playing again. And I let go. I made a bold choice. I said, honey, do you have just a second? Because sometimes he's in like work mode in the office. He's like, sure, babe, what? And I said, I really want you to listen to the end of this song. And so I rewinded it and I sat in his lap. And I closed my eyes and I'm like, open them, open them, open them. And I looked right in his eyes. It's been you I've been looking for all my days. And then at the end of the song, it goes, even breathing feels all right. Even breathing feels all right. And there's a clenching in my heart that's softened. There's a permakegel that's letting go. There's energy in my shoulders relaxing. There's an unfurling of my hips. My body is surrendering. So my heart surrenders, my ego surrenders, and then there's the body. The body's surrender. And I'm so proud of myself that when I have those inspirations to share a deeper moment of connection, a deeper moment of vulnerability or transparency, I'm like, oh God, he's going to be so sick of me. I'm such a dork. I'm such a, what is it like to live with a life coach or an intimacy expert? And then I just go, you know what? He loves me. So be me. And so I did. So we had that little moment. He's like, I love it when you do that. I didn't know that. I'm so scared. I'm still so scared inside of being rejected for being me. But I'm proud to show up and give from the overflow of my love. And so I hope you enjoyed this podcast around surrender, around bold choices, around letting go. And I ask you to look, where's the next place you can surrender? Surrendering the ego, surrendering the barnacles around your heart, surrendering the permakegels in your vagina, or the armor around your heart. And if you need support in this, it's my genius. Don't ask me to cook. Don't ask me to do a lot of things. I'm not very good. Definitely the staff is best at technology. Thank goodness I have attracted such a beautiful team so that I can rest into my genius and be the vessel through which the divine can support you. So I look forward to hearing from you. I wish you the happiest of holidays if you're watching this when it was released in the month of December. And look back upon this year with so much compassion and celebration for all that you risked, embarked upon, all that you stepped into, all that you let go of, all that you surrendered. Sending you so much love.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Welcome to the last month of Intimate Conversations, Season 11, Soul Medicine. This time we're going to be talking about surrender, making bold choices, and learning to let go. When I go to Google, it says, when I look up surrender, it says to cease resistance to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. It's not what I'm talking about. It goes on to say it's about stopping fighting, hiding, or resisting because you know you will not win or succeed. So you need to abandon, relinquish, resign, waive, yield, give up completely after a struggle. And that's not what I mean either about surrender. It's not that we fail, and it's certainly not that we give up. It's more about letting go and letting God, letting the divine, letting the universe handle the details while simultaneously, not sitting on the couch, while completely showing up in life, empowered, sovereign, unattached and really allow yourself to be used by the universe. It means like, here's my desire, here's my delight, and I'm going to take actions in alignment with my truth. And ultimately, I trust if it isn't going to turn out my way, I'm not going to waste my time resisting or blaming. I'm going to learn to be an allowance of it all. I'm going to learn to soften my preferences, and I'm going to be open to a grander plan that I probably will not understand. So, beginning in my personal growth evolution, I would definitely say I was a damsel in distress, PhD in being a victim. And surrender, I thought was, giving up, or surrender was, oh, I'm just going to avoid that, blame others, make excuses to do nothing. I'd sugarcoat my feelings saying, oh, I'm just surrendering. Everything is love and light and everything just happens for a reason. But really, I wasn't surrendering. I was being a coward, unwilling to take ownership, unwilling to own it, grow up, show up, let go, take risks, face the fears of being rejected or feeling like I would be humiliated. I so remember, my goodness, 15 years ago or so, maybe 10 years ago, I was in $250,000 of legal debt, and I was being a big old victim about it. My family wouldn't help me pay for it, and I didn't want to take any ownership of it. And I was like, well, the universe will handle it. It'll work itself out. No, that's not surrender. That's avoidance. That's not growing up. That's, behaving like a temper tantrum. And that didn't work. The gift in that level of evolution of what I mistook surrender for and what it really was surrendering being a victim, like letting go of being a victim and stepping into, I don't know what we'll call the next phase of me, like boss babe or like badass. I really started to grow up. I really started to take responsibility, and I did debt consolidation. I stopped blaming my ex for everything, and amazing things began to happen. I expanded my company, and I realized that, no one's going to save me, that I had to completely have my own back. I had to stop judging myself. I had to develop resilience and grit and follow through. And I had to develop massive bravery. So with an open heart, bravery to jump off cliffs every single day into the unknown. I had to learn to have faith from the inside out. I had to learn to look for clues and celebrate the small wins and listen to my guts, and bravely open my heart in the face of uncertainty every single day. And in this phase, I surrendered to I would call it an addiction to people pleasing, an addiction to looking good, an addiction to doing it right. And a lot I had to surrender, given a shit what people thought of me. My whole world was wired around, what do you think of me? And I was, I guess, pissed to discover I couldn't control people after all. I couldn't control what they thought. I couldn't control what they did. I certainly couldn't control the outcome. And so I surrendered, let go of my whining. Everything needed to be fair. Why is it not fair? I just let that go. We all know that life isn't fair. So I surrendered being a victim or a martyr. And I learned to speak up. I learned to show up. I learned to speak truth. I learned to take ownership and clean up my messes. And I learned to stand up and tell the bullies, it's not okay to bully me. It was a very empowering phase of my life to stand up for myself. I definitely felt this sense of accomplishment. Like I felt my own spine. I felt like, my voice did make a difference. I felt like my actions, did create different results. I could influence my world. I wasn't a victim to the whole thing. I will say, I think it started to inflate my ego a bit. Like I was in charge. I was doing all of that. I'm a boss babe. I'm badass. To the point where I didn't need the divine. I was in charge. Like I was taking ownership. I don't think I would ever say that I thought I was more powerful than the divine, but I was certainly not in relationship with the divine. Everything was on my shoulders. I could handle it and I did it and it felt really good. I could create anything. And so, because when you're off course, the universe nudges you back to center. What happened to me when I was in this phase was my past relationship where my ex was arrested. And an organization sided with him, not me or not us. And he ended up being a domestic violence criminal who pleaded guilty of criminal assault. But they sent out emails defaming me. They told people lies about me. And so the whole surrender, I'm like, what do I do? Do I just say, well, this is what the universe wants and I'll just like deal with it? Or did I speak up? It was the next level of, what does surrender look like here? What do bold choices look like here? What does letting go look like here? And so I chose to speak up, to say that's not okay. It's not okay to defame me. It's not okay to lie about me. So I hired a firm to support me in making things right. And I was shocked. I was stunned. I was infuriated. And then I was just like hurt that they were unwilling to own their behavior. And in the end, they had much deeper pockets than I did. So I dropped the case. And what this led to was an increased criticism of myself. Like, I didn't create the result. I stood up for myself, but it didn't work this time. What's wrong with me? It worked last time. I had created all these results before when I stood up for myself and stood up for justice. Why wasn't it working now? Had the universe forgotten me? How did I mess this up? And so while I was proud that I had spoken up to stood up to a bully, I learned that this next level of surrendering also included letting go of the outcome, letting go of my preference, letting go of how significant and important things were to me, all of my attachments. I had to learn to feel whole and complete by simply living in alignment with my heart's truth and let go of the outcome and do my best to be the embodiment of this high level of justice and release the ultimate outcome to karma, to the feedback loop of the field, where everything you put out eventually comes back. And that situation led to perhaps the most excruciating experience of surrender. That's what began to happen next. For so many years, all my focus and fortitude and resilience and grit and surrendering, being a victim, all of my efforts stopped working. Not just in that case, but everywhere. The very same actions that would create magnificent results no longer did. It was like this cruel joke from the universe, and my self-hatred grew. And then I started to hate God and the divine. I started to loathe myself. What was wrong with me? There was even a period of suicidal ideations for about 3 weeks during this time where I was really like, what's the fucking point of being on the planet if I can't create a result, if I can't control the outcome, if I can't make an impact? What is the point of being here? I was more than terrified. I was absolutely hopeless. So this was the next phase of my experience around surrender. It was surrendering my ego will to divine will. And while I am by no means there all the time, I have begun to have the most exquisite moments where I am indeed surrendered to divine will and I can just be. And as this portion of my evolution with surrender unfolded, I remember very clearly I was sitting in a red velvet comfy chair in Wyoming, looking out at the horses on a call with one of my coaches. And I remember telling him, I choose to surrender everything. Nothing's working. I surrender my businesses. I surrender my money. I surrender my love life. I surrender my son. I surrender my cat. I remember sobbing. I surrender any chance of ever meeting my beloved. I surrender any chance of experiencing greater impact, greater success. And I got to this place where I'm like, I even surrender my life. Like, if you don't want me here, if I'm not to be used as a contribution, take me, because everything I've been trying is not working and I'm done. I wasn't willing to kill myself, but I was like, I hit a wall. I hit a line in the sand and I said, I give. It was kind of like if you could imagine sitting in a wheelbarrow, and I just plopped my arms and legs out the side and I said, divine, you're driving. I literally give my life to you. Have your way with me. Clearly, I can't figure this out. And I shut down the app company. and I put the debt that I was in into consolidation. I sold all my things to a thrift store. And during this period, as I said, I was on a call with my coach, one of my coaches. And one thing I'm really proud of, or at least I'm maybe wise or listening to my intuition, is ever since I became a coach 20 years ago, I've never not had a coach. Several coaches, in fact, because I'm very clear that when I'm in my dark place, I can't hear my intuition. I can't see for shit. I can't hear for shit. And I need someone to be able to shine a light on my blind spots, just like I do, masterfully for others. I can't do for myself. So I need my team. So I never stopped working with my coaches, my energy workers, my psychedelic somatic integration facilitators, my shaman during this time, even when I wanted to hide and give up, even when I was so ashamed that I'd come so far and I created so much and like, what the fuck was going on? It was all falling to pieces. And then in a coaching call with one of my coaches, just being in her energy allows me to come into alignment so much faster. It's true when we're with someone who is at a certain frequency or vibration, we can entrain into theirs so much more easily than we can on our own. And so on a call with her, I had an intuition to call one of my girlfriends and to stay at her second house as I practiced surrendering and rebuilding my life. And so that's when I moved to North Carolina. And that's when I followed my gut and I booked a call with an astrocartographer. I'd done 3 calls with astrocartographers over the last 20 years. And each one of them had said, we can't find anything for you. It really doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, am I like a friggin' alien or something? Like, what's the deal? But I called a new person and I did my appointment with him. And it turned out my golden zone was where my intuition had led me to, the Southeast. I'm from the Northwest, British Columbia. So here I am in the Southeast, North Carolina. And so I continued to listen to the universe, which is very different than I'd done this before in this state of surrender. Normally, I would figure shit out in my head. This was a different way of listening to the universe through what was happening in my life. So one of my clients challenged me to join her dating online. And so I said, well, I always tell my clients, I'm not willing to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. So fine, I'll go on match.com. And I took myself out for dinner and I sat at the bar and I ordered meatballs and my favorite Glenmorangie scotch. And I created my profile. And my shaman at the time thought it was a perfect time to date. He confirmed this decision saying, I was at my most vulnerable and surrendered. This was the time to show up as the hot mess that I felt, not apologize, but also own how far I'd come and who I am without apology. And it just felt right. And of course, you all know that that's when I met my incredible beloved Scott. What I've discovered about surrender, when you truly surrender, my experience is that you follow divine will and you stop trying to understand it all. You stop trying to figure it all out. You stop trying to get clarity because all of that is like a grasp for safety and control. And you really let go, but you don't check out. You drop in and you allow the divine whisper of the universe to speak to you in how your hips are desiring to move in a certain direction, how your soul is guiding you to go on match.com, how your heart is whispering, hey, call your girlfriend with her second home in North Carolina. There's a pre-verbal, this knowing that for me speaks to me from sort of like my heart, my solar plexus, and my sacral. This lower area in my body is where I get that first sense of alignment. And then it moves up through my open heart and into the center of my head, my pineal. And it feels like it just goes out like an antenna. And I just know things, hear things, connect with things that don't make any cognitive sense at all. But I know they feel in alignment. Yeah. So there's even a moment in my journey, and again, it's not 24/7, where you don't even need to surrender anymore. You don't need to go, here I am over here in control, and I need to keep surrendering to divine will. Like the pattern just keeps happening over and over. There's just this moment where you're just like, fuck it. And everything dissolves and there's not even a need to surrender anymore. You are one with the divine. You aren't trying to connect to source. Source is alive in you. You aren't looking for the way or the light. Like you are the light from the inside. You're like already there. There's no separation between you and everything. You just are. And there's this total alignment, as I said, with your hips and your heart and your divine mind. And it's not like you just check out and sit around and meditate all day. You're completely in action. You keep putting one foot in front of the other. You just do so without double checking, strategizing, thinking, making sure it's going to be safe so you don't get hurt again. Like all that goes really quiet. And things that were like a problem or negative or bad in the past, they aren't that way anymore. They just sort of are. And even things unfolding not according to plan don't like irk you. It's like, oh, well, okay, let's do it this way. There's not that reaction or resistance anymore. You're certainly not asleep. You're certainly not checked out. You're certainly not sitting on the couch. Like you're awake. It's like you're jumping off the cliff 24/7 all the time into the unknown, eyes wide open, flying blind. So very much in action, animated, breathing the divine as you, in, as, and through you. You are light itself, the divine itself. Spirit in action, animated as you. And this is how somehow I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm in sacred relationship with the love of my life. And I now live in Charleston, South Carolina. Somehow I'm not pushing or orchestrating things. I'm integrating more of my programs, more of my wounds, more of my traumas. I'm embodying more of my multidimensional self. Somehow I've become this vessel for divine energy to literally, in like coaching sessions or VIPs, to move my hands and to help a client's body release beings, entities, programs, traumas. Like I'm not doing it. Somehow I'm now this vessel to be able to hear spirit and channel what they're saying to me. Somehow I'm having the most epic, vulnerable, connected conversations with my beloved, this soul-shaking lovemaking with him, dorky, fun, goofy bliss with him. Somehow the business is working. Somehow ideal clients are finding me. Somehow clients that don't want to or aren't ready to go to the next level, they're leaving. Somehow the docuseries is shifting into more of a playful, sensual, nourishing series than what I thought it was going to be before. Somehow I know Gabriel will return. Somehow I know I'll be doing a lot more traveling. Somehow I know I will be channeling more wisdom, more angelic wisdom. Somehow I know I will be cervically orgasmic at some point on my journey soon. Somehow I know I'm enough. Somehow I know I don't have anything to prove anymore. Somehow I know that I'm safe from the inside out, even though I still get triggered, that's for sure. I'm not perfect, but somehow safety is more easily able to come back to from the inside out and less needing to control it on the outside. Somehow I know and I can feel the embodiment of being held, of being humbled, but having this sense of I am nothing, but I am everything. And for this, I am so very grateful. I keep saying like somehow, because what's very different about this stage of surrender in my life is that I'm not making it happen. I'm not strategizing. I'm not trying to figure it out. And I really like to figure it out, but there's like nothing. I go to my mind and there's nothing there anymore. It's like the drive to be motivated, to accomplish and overcome. Like I can't find it. I can't find it. If anything, my drive is now down in my sacral, and it's creative and it's joyful and it's sexy and it's dorky and it's sensual and it's humbled and it's present and it's grateful. That fear-based drive in order to be safe, in order to be good enough, in order, even in order to save someone. Like I'm going to heal you. How arrogant of me I was when I was in that last phase of surrender. Like I thought I was doing the saving. Like you need me. No. I'm the vessel through which this is happening. The divine has been doing it all along. I was just too arrogant thinking it was actually me. So this practice of surrender at this level that I'm at right now. Hello, Muffin. She's getting comfy in my lap right now. Yes. This level is, it's really an invitation. One of the big pieces was to stop judging myself and loathing myself. And I couldn't even get to a place of forgiveness. I literally had to surrender to the divine and say, I need mercy. This is too big for even me to forgive myself for. I need help. I need mercy. And I remember it very well. Back in Wyoming, sitting on the mountainside with my equine facilitator. And she asked me, because the horses wouldn't come up to me. They wouldn't push me around either. I had my like boss babe, but they wouldn't come up and nuzzle me like they'd come up and nuzzle her. And she said, what's going on in your heart? And I said, I still haven't forgiven myself. And she said, what do you need? And I said, mercy. And she said, well, just ask for it. It never dawned on me that I could ask for this. So I did. And she's like, what if you're the queen of mercy? How does that feel? And it was a beautiful blend between my masculine and feminine. My masculine willing to show up in the face of anything, my masculine bravery willing to let go in the face of anything, and my feminine softness willing to ask and receive mercy. And everything it was like the sweet spot. It was so, so beautiful. And so it's allowed me to live with my heart so much more open. I often say heart splayed wide open. And I mean it, because we can release our resistance. We can release our control. And I'm able to do this while, showing up every day, getting up and showing up for clients and showing up for interviews and showing up for business decisions and showing up for my team bonding meetings with my team. It allows me to show up for my amazing lover, allows me to meet new friends, and ultimately it allows me to show up for the divine, whatever it has up its sleeve for me today, for me to show up and, use me. And what this looks like in a relationship is that I'm way braver. It doesn't mean I'm not feeling the fear. I feel the fear, but I'm way braver to ask for what I need. I'm more able to let things go. I'm more able to not take things personally and like laugh more and like to laugh at myself more. It's given me the ability to have the courage to ask for truths, my truth. It's allowed me to unfurl these it's like all these wrapped up traumas inside of my hips and my heart and my belly. It's allowed these traumatized tendrils to unfurl so I can like put down roots and be here in my new wonderful life, to relinquish control of like, how's it all going to go down? And let go of how the docuseries is going to unfold. More and more, it's like, okay, life. And I can be a little sassier. I can be inviting. I can be welcoming. I can be alluring. I'm like, okay, life, what do you have up your sleeve for me today? Like, have your way with me. There is a communion, a trust that I know everything's okay. And that has not been the way it's been for many, many decades. And so what this means for you listening to this podcast is, if you're all crumpled up with all those, I need to be in control, or maybe you feel really stuck, unable to move forward. Maybe you feel a tremendous amount of self-hatred that you're repeating, sabotaging patterns that you know better, but you just keep doing it. Maybe you've got an addiction, again, that you know better, but you can't seem to let that addiction go. Maybe you're aware that you are pushing away the very love, intimacy, and connection you desire. You know the traumas are shutting you down. You're fine when there's no triggers. But as soon as you get on a dating app, as soon as you get on a date, as soon as you look eye to eye with someone, like you leave your body, you disassociate. Even if you're smart, even if you're successful, even if you're on the conscious path, but you still haven't found the one. Well, I encourage you to consider that maybe you're ready for this next level of surrender, integrating the wounds in the way of surrendering and integrating to this next level of home within your body. My experience is you're not going to figure it out in your mind. And even if your heart is open, it's deeper It's deeper, these wounds deep in the darkness of the hips, the shadows. This is the big, bold choice that I invite you to is let's connect. Let's connect and talk about what's going on. I call them an intimacy breakthrough experience call. And look into the show notes because I put an Intimate Conversations podcast scholarship in the notes so that you can have a discounted intimacy breakthrough experience call with me. I invite you to be brave. I invite you to be humble. I invite you to, own where you're fucking amazing and you're successful and you're glorious and you've done the work. And also be willing to own, hey, the only one in common with all of these failed relationships, as fun as it is to blame everyone else, is me. And I'm ready not to judge myself, but to integrate my piece of this, my part in this, so that I can become the one to find the one, which awakens the best in your partner. So working with me, yeah, it takes bravery. We're going to feel. We're not going to, bypass. We're not just going to talk about it. We're going to roll up our sleeves and sit in the fire and do the work and bring you home all the way to zero into this incredible place of calm, stillness, and bliss in your body. And I'll be able to provide a sanctuary for you of non-judgmental love, of tenderness, of like fierce, unwavering commitment, and the patience of eternity. I often joke that I'm not the best cook, but I'm actually getting better. And I'm not the best at taxes or technology, but I'm getting better. But this facilitation of the integration of wounds is most certainly my genius, that I have such a privilege and honor of supporting so many clients over so many decades. Many a couple is more in love than ever, and you're going to see them, one of the couples that I work with this month on the podcast series. Some couples, I'll be honest as well, I've helped them consciously uncouple in a way that's drama-free, in a way that isn't hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're going to give to, attorneys fighting, in a way that doesn't drag their kids through hell and scar them, right? Instead, showing them what love would do, what kindness would do, what bravery would do. I've helped many a single help find the one, move in with the one, get married to the one. I loved getting a video a couple of weeks ago from a client who has referred another client to me, but showing me all her wedding pictures and remembering when we first started how scared she was she called it go into the closet and see all the skeletons, how scared she was to really slow down and feel her feelings. And yet what that provided was she was in her body, she was embodied. And when she met her partner, that's when, the pandemic hit and they moved in together quite quickly. And they didn't just survive, they thrived and they got engaged. And now they have these skills to be, happily married and grow over time. What you learn when you do this deep work of intimacy with self are the skill sets to stay connected to yourself and stay connected to your partner over time, so that you can lean into conflict and get stronger on the other side. Even this morning, as I was walking with my beloved, I've only been here a month and 3 days, 33 days. And I could still feel my vagina clench. I could still feel the fear of saying, thank you, but no, thank you. This is how I'd like to spend my morning ritual time or what have you. Even though I've done such work, it's one thing to do it, with my coaches, with my facilitators. It's a whole other thing to be on the court of life in relationship. So it's beautiful about working with clients. I might work with them for the first year and get all those wounds resolved. And then they meet the one, yet they know to renew for another year because it's a whole deeper, wider, grander level of trigger that will arise to work through, but they've got the skills. And being with me, maybe it's a VIP weekend, maybe it's our retreat, maybe it's the group calls, but together we're actually better. Something about ascending from 3D to 5D is it's no longer me. It's we. It's we with the divine surrendered. It's we with other conscious people boldly, bravely, vulnerably showing up together. And it's we to either awaken the relationship that you're in or attract your ideal partnership. And so I'm so grateful that what's in common with whether I work with somebody who's single or in a relationship is they've found the greatest partnership they're ever going to have. A partnership that no one and no thing and no circumstance can ever take away, that feels like calmness, courage, confidence, kindness. It feels like home, because that's the relationship they have with themselves. They're home. They've surrendered to the divine. They've become the one to find the one, which is this one. And their eyes are wide open and they're brave and they're on the court of life and they're living fully and they're living without apology. And there's a little dance in their eyes of light. There's a little smirk in their smile. There's an ability just to slap their ass and get on with things. As one of my coaches says, giddy up, let's get to this. Let's do this. There's a unstoppability, but it's not like they have to go get anything and grasp it. It lives with inside them already. They don't have to go get anything. They're not resisting anything. They're not clamoring to anything. They just are. And that's a vortex to attract the one. That's a vortex to attract ideal clients, ideal living situations. Anything that's no longer aligned with your highest ascension will leave. And I've got you as things fall away, as you fall into the greatest alignment of your life. And all whom are aligned with that arise as if by magic. Yeah, it's exquisite. And it's human. And there's days of great fear. And yet you have the skills, because you know where home is, to keep coming home and surrendering, making those bold choices, and ultimately letting go. So thank you for being with me in season 11. Season 11, Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. What an honor I've had this year, my first year, to do solo podcasts. This year, my first year, to interview my clients and share their journeys with you, and to dive deep with incredible experts that go beyond what I know, so that together we are always better. So I encourage you to reach out, connect with me. This can be at the most difficult time of the year. If you're single, it feels somehow even more alone. And if you're in a relationship and it's not working, it somehow feels worse than it has the rest of the year. So I encourage you, the biggest gift you can give to yourself is your own relationship with yourself, your intimate relationship with yourself. Come home to yourself. And I promise you, from there, I'm not going to strategize. We've already discussed that. You will be the vessel through which the divine can use you and guide you, and you'll feel safe from the inside out, and you will magnetize. It'll arise of its own accord, your ideal life and partnership. And to have the honor and privilege to walk beside you in that. Yeah, this is my genius, and this is my bliss. So thank you for being with me this time on Intimate Conversations. Thank you for letting me love the shit out of you. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
Okay, this is what I get to do in the mornings. Look at my life. Look, that's like, you can't really tell. Yeah, you can, sorry. That's a lake. And so some mornings we just start walking together, me and my boyfriend, Scott. And some mornings he goes for a run and I walk first, and then he catches up to me. And this morning I am listening to a recording I made. I have a difficult time surrendering. That's what this podcast is about. I think I'm going to sit down here. We can be together. Maybe up here. I have a difficult time surrendering and believing he really loves me as much as he does, trusts me as much as he does. So literally after doing my first PSI weekend for him, facilitating for him, I didn't know that it really made a difference. I didn't know if it really landed. And so I literally sat down and I made a recording of him telling me that how much it meant to him. And now I'm going for my walk this morning and I'm listening to it, and it's sinking in even more, like how closed my heart has been to love, or believing that I'm seen, or knowing that I do actually make a difference in partnership. So it's just still a hot mess. And I'm living the dream. and I'm showing up for the real deal. And I'm so grateful to continue to integrate my wounds, open my heart, show up, be brave, be vulnerable, the whole thing. So I'm so happy right now. I'm also completely jazzed energetically. I got up early this morning. This is like a new thing to live with somebody. So I got up super early when it was still dark, lit all my candles, got my magic mind, got all my oracle cards out before he got up, the dogs got up. It was just me and Muffin. And I'm like so happy and deliciously happy, like sensually happy, like yummy in my body happy. So I wanted you to know that I love my magic mind so much that I asked the company, please, can you give my people like discounts to give it a try? So they have like these incredible half off for a subscription, and I think 20% off if you just want to give it a go. Please go for it. I just feel so embodied alive. So this energy that feels sustainable and yummy and grounded, not like a crazy high. And I'd love you to try it as well. So just wanted to let you know that as we go into this episode of surrender. And I surrender to this incredible life that I have. Be in allowance, be grateful, let go of the next moment. Let go of the past. Just be here. Sink into here even more. Surrender into, feel that sunshine on my face. Oh, it's so good. Drop into gratitude. So thank you for being with me on this episode of Surrender. I love you with all my heart.